Such heroes cannot emerge in Muslim culture as such because they don't believe in that. And so-called Hindus, they cannot create Muslims as a deity because it is not a part of Vedic.
Vedic Hinduism.
But it happened in Tulu Nadu. That's the beauty of the place. It's a completely nonsense and bogus. I have collected paadana, Babaria paadana during 80s and 90s. How could you worship Babaria in your traditional shlokas? Which shloka you recite to Babaria, you tell me? Which shloka you tell to Ali? Because he's a Muslim deity.
Isn't it also true that the custom has been misused by landlords?
I don't say they misused, but definitely Bhuta cult has helped them to retain their power on the society. He says, "Yan ninnane nambuta arji partini. Enna ammerla ninnane nambutini. Itte ee enku visapaduva pandu multu polamante enu odigu popuna."
Welcome to the News Minute. We have with us today Mr. Purushottama Bilimale, a Kannada writer and academic, the former head of the Kannada chair at the Jawaharlal Nehru University, and currently with the American Institute of Indian Studies. We have caught up with him to discuss Bhuta worship in Tulu Nadu, the Udupi and Dakshina Kannada districts of Karnataka. Bhuta worship is the worship of ancestral spirits. Bhutas are distinct from the gods of Vedic Hinduism, and people who believe in Bhutas see them as spirits that keep watch over them. Now, it is a common belief that Bhutas control a particular aspect of life and help somebody who believes in them overcome problems. Pili Chamundi guards agricultural fields, Panjurli is the protector of righteousness, and Bobbaria controls maritime fishing. Now, we have with us somebody who has studied the oral narratives of the Bhutas for the last 4 decades. Mr. Purushottama Bilimale, we are very thankful to have you here for this interview.
Thank you.
You have previously spoken about Vedic connotations given to Bhuta worship, like Koti and Channaya, Tuluva, twin warriors, being linked to twins found in Vedic texts. So can you tell us how Bhuta worship is distinct? Can you just explain to us why you feel that this is a very distinct form of worship?
Yeah, according to me, the concept of Bhuta and its associated rituals and the epic, we call it as a paadana. If you take all three aspects and if you compare it with the Vedic ritual and Vedic narratives and Vedic Puranas, mythologies, this looks very different. How it's different, let me try to explain. So number one, now we don't know how many Bhutas or, in English sometimes we call it as a deities are there in South Kannada district or Tulu Nadu. According to one of the studies, done by Dr. Chinnapagowda as early as 1980, there was something about 360 Bhutas. And according to Vivek Rai, one of the very prominent folklorist, the professor at Mangalore University, according to him, there are about 450 deities. And recently, Dr. Lakshmi G. Prasad has published a book where she mentions more than 1,200 Bhutas. If a deity has more than one names, should we consider it a one or it's a three? It's a bigger question. Now, I am not going into that, but the major thing is there are about 700 to 800 deities now. Now, all 700 to 800 deities have their own narratives called paadana. Now, if you see the paadana, that is a main narrative which connects Bhuta to the ritual. Because when Bhuta dances, it says it sings some part of the paadana, not all. Because whole paadana is about 4,000, 5,000 words, sometime more than that, and it takes full night to recite. So that is not possible during ritual. So some part of the paadana is narrated in a ritual. I made a small study on it long back. What are the parts have taken by the performer during ritual of the paadana, like the hero's birth, number one. Number two, hero's death. and number 3, heroes' achievements. These three things. It is retold by the performer every year. So it is not a dead text, right? Now, if you see the Paadana or a Bhuta, the whole concept is entirely different from Vedic Purana. For example, out of 800 or 850 deities, 90% deities, they are dying in their middle age. Middle age. Now, Rama, Krishna, Vishnu Purana, Shiva Purana, the important gods of Vedic text, they never die in the middle age, right? Like Rama, he finishes his work, kills Ravana, comes back, he rules for 1,000 years, 10,000 years. Then, of course, he goes back because he has to come in another incarnation. That is the story. But Ravana cannot kill Rama, or Kauravas cannot kill Krishna. That is the story. But all the deities in Tulu Nadu, they die in the middle age. Because why they die and how they die is the very important question. They are all born in a low caste society. I mean, in quote, okay. The caste hierarchy. They are born to the very lower state of the society. Sometimes they are Dalits. Not even Panchama. We call it as a Panchama. Not even in the Varna Vyavastha, just outside the Varna Vyavastha, or sometime in the lower state of the society. When they are born as a very, in the deep poverty actually. Now, see the examples of Koragatanya. When he born, no gods will shower flowers on because when Rama born, something happened. When Krishna born, when they born, they are gods. But in these deities or these paaddanas, they are not deities when they are born. They are very common people.
And they fight injustices.
Yes. And in Koragatanya, he asks his mother to give some food. And she says, I'm sorry, I can feed you a little bit, but I don't have anything to give you to eat. Then he's searching for food and he goes to one temple, Kadri temple, and he saw a fruit there and he wanted to pluck and eat that. So he goes up to the roof of the temple and suddenly he was missing, Gayab. So I mean, you can understand that. He died in means D-Day because he never comes back. Then after the death, he comes back as a deity. That's another story. Now the problem is, it's not a problem, but the concept of the deity where they die in the middle age is a very important concept which defines whole Bhuta Radhana. So whole Bhuta, which is exactly and entirely different from Vedic Purana. This is number one. Number two, who performed deities, who performed this Bhuta, all belongs to Dalit caste. Mera, Ajila, Nalike, these are untouchable. Even now they don't enter to Savarniya's house. Now they become God. The Vedic literature, I have a high respect to Vedic literature because it has its own wisdom. That is different. But the Vedic literature cannot make a Dalit as a God. But the Bhuta Aradhane, Dalit is becoming a god, and all Savarniyas has to bow down to the god, at least for the time being. Okay, for the time being. It's a temporal construction. I understand that. But see, a lower caste or a Dalit is becoming god, and where God is dying in the middle age. And lastly, I want to say, now there are 12 Islamic deities in Bhuta Aradhane because Islam has entered into coastal Karnataka as early as 7th century AD. And according to some records, there were 7,000 Muslims during 7th century AD. It's a long association with the coastal Karnataka.
Which is one of the earliest globalized spots in the world.
Yeah.
We have mosques that were built in the 7th century AD.
Right.
In Bangalore, in Thrissur.
Yes. And the Mangalore coastal area, even now it's famous for big coconut. And the coconut gives you a lot of coir. The Mangalore is the one place known for coir industry. And it was nurtured and developed by Muslims. And this coir has connected the coastal Karnataka to Greek, Rome, and South Pandyas, Cholas, Malaika, Indonesia, and so this is how the coastal Karnataka has built. Now it means, what I'm trying to say is, the Muslims are part of Tulu Nadu, right? They have connected Tulu Nadu to various parts of the world. Now, out of this, 12 Muslims have become deities. Now, Babaria, Ali, and many others. Now, as in the introduction, as you rightly said, now Babaria has become he died in his middle age again, and he's become deity to protect somebody who goes to ocean to catch fish.
So I was coming to a question about Babaria itself.
Okay.
The oral narratives of Babaria is being challenged with reinterpretations, with books published, which suggest that he is not a Muslim deity, but that he is a Hindu deity. So there are disagreements, and he is the god of the Mogavira, the fisherman community. So I just wanted to discuss that with you. What you think about the new reinterpretations of Babaria deity?
It's a completely nonsense and bogus. I have collected Paadana, Babaria Paadana during 80s and 90s. And one Dr. U.P. Upadhyaya, one of the greatest linguists of coastal Karnataka, who compiled Tulu dictionary actually, he collected that Paadana. And according to Paadana, Babaria's father, his name is Thulikalla Murava Byari. Amma is Fatima. He had 7 children. He was running a small shop selling salt, selling jaggery, and selling mirchi. This thing, it's very much necessary for the coastal people to live. So he was selling, but somehow he met with an accident. His boat was crushed and he became. That's it. Now I'm coming back to the same question. Now, if it is a Vedic god, or if it is a part of the so-called Hinduism, or so-called Vedic tradition, how could you worship Babaria in your traditional shlokas? Which shloka you recite to Babaria, you tell me. Which shloka you tell to Ali? Because he is a Muslim deity. And Babaria and Ali is the Muslim deity. But Muslims may not accept this because such heroes cannot emerge in Muslim culture as such. Because they don't believe in that. And so-called Hindus, they cannot create Muslims as a deity because it is not a part of Vedic.
Vedic Hinduism.
But it happened in Tulu Nadu. That's the beauty of the place. And that is how India or Karnataka or coastal Karnataka is very distinct from other part of the world. We should be proud about that. It is not that we should shame and change the name. And I read that book, somebody from Bombay he published, and he said that Babaria is the wrong name. He is the incarnation of Babruhana. I know that writer, and I called him, and he said, see, I understand that Rama is the incarnation of Vishnu, Parashurama is the incarnation. I agree that. But where is the concept of incarnation for Babruhana? He is a son of Arjuna, and he rules Manipura. And how come from Manipura he came to Tulu Nadu? Then he says, no, it's wrong. His mother is from Kerala, he said. It's all cooked up stories. All these cooked up stories coming after 1992 to the coastal Karnataka after, I'm sorry to say, Advani's Ratha Yatra. Advani's Ratha Yatra has changed the coastal belt, and it has its own history, coastal belt, because after 1925, the few RSS people who participated in Nagpur, then they came back and they started RSS. 1836, there are 6 people started, 1936, sorry. They started, RSS. That has a different story. But what I'm trying to say is, the whole Bhuta worship is a part of Indian culture, or so to say, it's a part of a Karnataka culture, or to specify, it's a part of the Tulu culture, which is very beautiful, nurtured from many years. Now suddenly, because of your political gain, don't change it. It's an insult to your own culture, what I'm telling. You are doing insult to your own culture.
In fact, the story of Babaria is also a symbol of coexistence between the Billava, Band and Mogavira community. In fact, that Billava Toddy Tapper is the one who built the shrine for Babaria.
You know what happened? In one of the Paaddanas, see, there are a lot of Paaddanas as early we discussed. Even Babaria has 4 or 5 Paaddanas. In one of the Paaddanas, his boat crashes in the sea. And by holding a small, wooden plank, he went to other side of the world. Then he prays for a god. The Paadana never says is Allah, because he is a Muslim, and he prays his God means what? It's understood. Then he appears and he asks, hey, what happened? And he said, my boat is crushed. You have to give me little space here. I want to live here. And then you know what is God says? Hey, you born in a place called Uchila in Udupi. And you are serving people there. You should not come here. I will help you to go back. So the God has sent this Muslim back to Udupi to serve the people. Now what Savarkar says, these Indian Muslims have, their gods are in a foreign country, not in India, so they have to driven back. But the folk narrative says, their God has sent them back to India to serve the people because he born here. Now, Indian Muslims, where did they born? They born here from centuries. Some of them are, yeah, I told you from 7th century. The most of the Hindu militants now, they came to Tulu Nadu after Muslim came. But these are Tulu's original Mula Nivasi, whatever we say, the originals. And they have their own deity worship, hero worship, or ancestors worship. And I think we should respect the feelings of the people. Because you have a powerful man, because you have a powerful politics, you should not change. You are making insult to your own culture.
So there is also a popular film Kantara which discussed this, and in this film, Panjurli, the protector of righteousness, has been discussed as an incarnation of Vishnu. What do you think about this?
Yeah, see, actually the Paadana, me, Chinnapagoda, Vivek Rai, Dr. Indira Hegde, and many collected, there is no reference of Vishnu's incarnation in Varaha. See, Varaha Avataram is of course the second incarnation of Vishnu after Matsya, then the Varaha. We know the story. But according to this Paadana, these Varahas are two boars. Handi in Kannada we say Panji. That's why the Panjurli came. Panji is boar or pig. Now these pigs, usually they do it even now in Tulu Nadu, even now they do that. They go and destroy all the aradhane tree, banana tree, whatever you plant, they go and destroy. Because, they have a very strong nose and they take it out. So the major problem even now in the agriculture sector of Tulu Nadu, to avoid these pigs, now it's become a big problem because you cannot go and shoot them because forest department is providing them. But the agriculture has to protect their agriculture productions from these boars. So if you see the whole Panjurli Paadana, it emerged during medieval Tulu Nadu, somewhere between 13th and 14th century, when agriculture emerged in Tulu Nadu. Before that, there is no such agriculture. Agriculture was there. It was called shifting cultivation or kumeri bele. Tulu Nadu is full of hills, So you can do the kumeri bele. But the private property and the paddy and the arecanite, of course, cocoa is recent addition. These all came something around 14th, 15th century. So the whole, by that time, it was a full of forest and people has to protect their agriculture productions from the boar. So what they do, first they avoid, putting fences and then they pray. Ultimately they pray. This is a common practice in India or anywhere in the world. So the agriculture people are practicing. Now the story says they born in a garden which is owned by Shiva. Now Shiva, as it presents or as it connotes, is not a Shiva Purana, that Shiva. He has a garden, he has agriculture land. Imagine. So it's like, I don't know whether Kantara hero is also a Shiva. I know whether his name is Shiva. So, but in Paadana also, it's a Shiva's garden where this boars go and destroys. Then he got angry and he want to kill that. Then Parvati says, no, don't kill them. Such a cute things. The young pigs look very beautiful. It's motherly, right? It's very motherly. She said, no, don't kill them. Then Shiva says, okay, I will not kill them. Then he curses them. Hey, don't come here. You go to Tulu Nadu, okay, and live there. And the people of Tulu will worship you. Don't disturb them. Instead, protect them. He sends them. This is a story. Now, where is the Vishnu? There is no Vishnu. There is a Shiva, but he is not a Shiva Purana Shiva, where he is having a Ganga in his head, Bhagirathi, nothing like that. He is a gardener who is making, paddy field, It's a humanization of the God. That's very right. But I think after up to 90, there is not even 2 Rama Bhajana Mandiras in coastal Karnataka, from Udupi to Talappadi, not even one. But I counted in 91 or so, after Advani's Ratha Yatra, there emerged 62 Rama Bhajana Kendras. See the change. It's 1 or 2 earlier. Then suddenly within 4-5 years, 60 Bhajana Mandiras came. So Rama, entries of Rama has brought Vishnu cult also. And Vishnu cult was supported by, Dvaita of Udupi Matha. Udupi Matha has a hold on Tulu Nadu, Ashtamatas, and their god is Krishna. He is the incarnation of Vishnu. So Krishna cult, Vishnu cult, had a very strong hold on Tulu Nadu after 90. So by that time, the many Bhutas have changed their positions.
They have been linked to
Linked
one or
to,
the other.
yeah,
Vedic.
yeah.
So Bhutas transcend religious barriers. That is something that we have discussed already.
Yeah.
But it is also considered a custom that transcends caste barriers. But isn't it also true that the custom has been misused by landlords? Like the landlord classes have traditionally misused the custom to keep the caste system in place?
Yeah, it's a good question. There is no deeper study, as I understand, about this. But I don't say they misused, but definitely Bhuta cult has helped them to retain their power on the society. They retain their power because Bhuta always, Ashirvada, blesses the landlord. And he says that I will take care of your family, I will take care of your cows, I will take care of your paddy field, Sukhi raho, be happy.
This is something we see in the film also.
In some also. So the landowners keeping their Bhuta, because when the landowners migrated to Tulunadu for some reason and occupied these places, there is a Bhuta shrine which they maintained there. They have not removed it. They made a small hut there and they maintained there. Somebody is worshipping, that is fine. And that Bhuta is legalizing the power of landlord on his holdings. What happens now? Now Nagaradhane is another version of Bhutaradhane. They worship snake. Now who is financing Nagaradhane and Bhutaradhane and Yakshagana in Tulunadu? Just to see, these are the most of the time, not all the cases, most of the people from Bombay. Now the people from Tulunadu, they went to Bombay, they made lot of money with hard work, of course. I respect them, hotel industry and many industries, and they sent little bit of money to build a small shrine in their birthplace. It's a small money for them, but it's a big money for the local people. 10,000, 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 5 lakh. It's a big money for the local. But for them, it's a business people. They are dealing with the crores. So what happens, once in a year, during the worship, they come here. Because he is the owner, donor, Bhuta blesses them in front of the people. So it's a legal sanctity or re-establishing lost power in the name of God. I don't say they are misusing deities. I don't say, because the word misusing is, for me it's look little different. But
is there a recorded history of Bhutas calling out a very powerful landlord with acres of land? And do we have any recorded history of Bhutas calling out powerful landlords and that leading to retribution for the landlord?
No, they call landlord. See, you ask, hey, where is he? If he is doing something work, the Bhuta, unless he comes and stand in front of him, Bhuta will not start his work. So he calls Brahmana, Braneru, Shetru, Yajamandru, see, he calls. Then after coming everybody, see, that's how it brings all community people towards Bhuta. It breaks for the time being. temporal breaking. It's not a permanent breaking. Temporarily, it breaks in terms of time. It's a particular time, in a particular space. It breaks. It brings everybody together. It blesses everybody together. And everybody touches the feet of Bhuta.
But the caste order is remained.
Remained.
Everybody is identified by their caste and
Yes.
brought in.
Yes. It maintained. Now, in one place is called Brahmarakutlu in Mangalore. I was there for recording. The landowner is he is making all the arrangements for Bhuta worship because it's happening in his house only. Now his Okkaliga, his tenant has applied for land. Now the landowner want to use this Bhuta to ask the tenant to leave the place and go somewhere. I was watching curiously. It's about 4 o'clock in the morning. Now Bhuta, he called this tenant. Hey. Then he called the owner also. Come. Both came. Then Bhuta asked him, the tenant, why are you putting poison in eating food? Nuppugudaya visavadva. Why are you putting poison? He got this. He said, no, I have not done anything wrong. No. If you are continuing this, you leave this. You leave this. Don't put visha. Don't put poison. He started screaming. And everybody is watching, including me with the camera and everything. Then suddenly the tenant lay down in front of Bhuta and he was holding the legs of Bhuta. And he said, Daiva, I applied for land in thinking that you will bless me. Because I am the serious worshipper of you from years. My father was, your disciple. I am also disciple. Now, if you say leave it and go, where should I go? You kill me here.
You can say it in Tulu Nadu.
Okay. He says, Yan ninnane nambuta arji partini. Enna ammerla ninnane nambutini. Itte ee enku visapaduva pandu multu polamante enu odiga popuna. And he was holding the Bhuta. Now, Bhuta cannot do anything now. Because the poor man, what is it? And the owner is little bit shaken back. Now finally people came around and they said, okay, this is the problem with land reform. We should not bring it to Bhuta. He has to see both tenant and owner. Let us discuss this after the Bhuta aradhane. And then Bhuta continued. See, this is the problem. Now tenants also, they are the worshipper of Bhuta. Why Bhuta should listen only the owners? He has to listen tenants also. Whether he is
Buttu, land records, how pura discuss malpara Apuji.
No. And no, during that time the committee has formed. Nobody has taken Bhuta's statement as a statement for allotting land or not allotting the land. No, you cannot take. It's a matter of belief. And most of the Bhutas, they respect the owners because next day he has to go to his house only to get some 2 coconuts or rice or food or something. So he cannot go against them. And including him, including his family, most of them are tenants. They cannot leave them also. So this is a ritual. I see it as a cultural unit. Nothing more than that. Now the people says he does this. Now Koragatanya, it has become, if you pray, it will happen, everything. This is in Vedic literature also. You go and pray God, he will do everything. Personally, I don't believe in that. But as a cultural unit, I see that how people believe, why should they believe, what is the necessity of the believing that, what is lagging in their life, to all such things, this is the part of bhakti movement.
So if you have time for one last question, this practice is avowedly non-Brahminical.
Yeah.
If you go to the Kapu Mari Jatre, you will see lakhs of sheep sacrificed during that festival. And it's a point of pride. Every time the temple committee says these many sheep and goats were sacrificed. If you go to the Bhuta aradhane of Nicha, there's a lot of swearing. There is no, I have also been to observed places where raw chicken blood is also drunk. So I just want to discuss this with you. So it's such a avowedly non-Brahminical practice, but now you are seeing that there are Bhuta shrines where Brahmin priests are also seen. So I just wanted to discuss this change that you have also talked about previously.
No, it's all happened as I told you earlier. It's all happened after 90. After 90, the Hindu movement has become very strong. But till 90, the Brahmins community in Tulu Nadu, they were unable to touch bhootha aradhana because of some other reasons. But after 90, they got political power. Then they started changing. As you rightly said, the chicken, pig, these are the offering is to give to God. And many deities has to take the chicken and they cut chicken's neck by teeth. Then it is considered as a very powerful deity. It cuts that bit. And it eats, it drinks blood. And if you know a place called Gunarka in the border of Sulya and Madikeri, there are people are cutting more than 200 pigs. 200 pigs. And they cut and they throw it in a paddy field. And it look for me, it was looking like a Kurukshetra. With the blood, with the pigs are, putting kaalu hodiyudu anta heltara ella hodಕೊಂಡು rakta.
ಮಾರಿ ಜಾತ್ರೆಯಲ್ಲೂ ನಾನು ಆ ಥರದ್ದೇ ಒಂದು ದೃಶ್ಯ ನೋಡಿದೆ.
Yes, it's all happening. But now Brahminization, the people says Hinduization, but I call it as a Brahminization. The Brahmins have seriously entered because, as I understand, after 90s, the many people migrated to Bombay. As I told you, they bring money. So Bhuta has little money now. It's not like in the 80s and 70s when very poor Bhuta without any costume.
Custom
Yeah,
to be followed by the local people.
local people. Now Bhuta Aradhane has lot of money, and people are eyeing on that money also. That's number one. Number two, this calling everything as a Hindu and making Brahmins as once again top in the hierarchy. Whatever they say, we have to believe it. So that is converting most of the Bhuta into the Brahminization, can I say like that? Brahminization. And these are done by Bajrang Dal and RSS people in coastal Karnataka. The Bajrang Dalas are the militant group of Hinduism. They go straight away. They put their bauta, flags, and they say no chicken this time. This is our God, only pumpkin.
In the Bhuta stan.
Yes. And before that, even before Bhuta, they go to house and house. Tomorrow onwards, there is no chicken offering. So they convince people also. So many people, what they do, as I understand, they don't take chicken to the God because there is a pressure from other groups. They come back and they cut chicken at home. They say that we could not do that for some reason, but you don't curse me. So they offer chicken at home. So the offering at the public space has completely turned into the offering at small faces like home. It's happening now. It's happening.
This aggression tactic is also used to keep away Muslim traders from.
Yes. That's the latest. From last 2 years, I think. The first time in Subramania, I born and brought up in Subramania, such a nice place. We used to buy everything from here. I mean, we don't see it's a Muslim shop or Hindu shop. No, we want something to buy. Whoever giving cheaply, we will buy. And usually the Muslim traders are a bit. Sometime even I long back, it is 62, 63. I wanted to buy a God's small photo. I had only 50 paisa in my pocket. Out of 50 paisa, my father gave me 50 paisa. And I purchased coffee and something, lunchtime, and I spent 25 paisa. I had 25 paisa in my pocket. I want to buy a small God. It's a Krishna. Somehow I like that Krishna. Black color like me, and something like that. And my mother also told, if possible, bring a small photo. We had a very small hut like. So I asked him, I went around, everybody says 1 rupee, 50 paisa, 75 paisa. I had only 25 paisa. Then I went to a Muslim shop. I remember. I said, how much is this? Estidikke? He said 50 paisa. I said, I have only 25 paisa. He said, Tako. He gave me, literally. He gave me a Krishna photo and I gave me 25 paisa. And I came back. This is the market. In a higher level, it's happening in a computer. While I buying computer on the online, Even I am buying a ticket from Delhi to Bombay, I just search which flight is giving me less convenient. The same thing was happened there in a different. So it's a market. And Subramania is a nice place where we all used to go there, buy Krishna temple, Krishna photo or something, balloons and lot of things actually. Jatra is festival, everybody celebrate it. But now everybody cannot celebrate. Jatra is restricted. Some people kept out. And those who go there want to buy have to pay extra money that they don't realize. For that, an answer is given that to protect Hindu Dharma, you have to pay more. This is the argument coming up. I don't know where we are leading. It's a very unfortunate thing happening. The people who live near me, a man who gives me he gave me a tea or 25 paisa to watch a Yakshagana. Now, how can I see him standing outside, listening that, hey, you are outsider. He was not outsider, he is inside.
There were boards put up in Kapu and Mulki which warned Muslim traders against doing business, even though temple committees in both places did not, make clear their position, but the Hindutva groups that were active in the region ensured that Muslim traders were not part of that fair. This happened in March this year, and now the same situation has spread to different parts of the country.
Subramania, this year Subramania, it's very unfortunate.
And in Bangalore's Vivipuram temple in the past week.
So it's all India phenomenon now. They say that what Muslims will do in Hindu ritual, but when they are selling something, they are not Muslims. They are doing namaz. They are not eating. They are selling goods. They are part of the whole culture. And we used to buy. We used to go. But now it has been divided, deeply divided. I don't know where we are moving. It's very, very, very unfortunate thing is happening in coastal Karnataka. And our younger generation, next generation is paying for that. See, we lived our life. We saw Bhuta. We participated in Bhuta aradhane. We have done our duty. But now it's not like that. We have to listen to somebody else other than Bhuta. That's more terrific thing in our lifetime.
On that note, if you want to continue talking, we can talk for hours. But I think on that note, we can wrap up this interview. Thank you so much, Mr. Purushottama Bilimale. I have taken much more time than what we initially thought about. But thank you for entertaining my questions. And it is a question of where we are heading, where we have come from and where we are heading. And that is what I wanted to discuss with you, specifically about Tulu Nadu. Yes, and we will continue and having more discussions over the next 2 years, looking at how the developments proceed. But once again, I just want to say thank you for joining us with the News Minute.
Yeah. Thank you, Prajwal. It's a pleasure talking to you.